Hey team, why is water cheap but diamonds cost a fortune? Imagine a glass of water and a diamond, all right? One of those keeps you alive, but guess which one costs more? Think about all of that. Think about the glass of water and a diamond ring. Think about the price tag flipping between them. So here's a question that sounds dumb until you actually try to answer it. Water keeps you alive. Go 3 days without it and, well, you die. A diamond does nothing. I'm not sure why my phone's doing that. You can't eat it, drink it, or shelter underneath it. It's a shiny rock. So, why is water almost free and a diamond worth a fortune? By any sensible measure of usefulness, this is backwards. The most useful thing on earth is cheap, and a useless sparkly pebble costs more than a car. This is known in economics as the diamond water paradox, and it's not a trick question. It broke Adam Smith. He wrote about it, he couldn't fully crack it, and so he moved on. For almost 100 years, economics had a hole right in the center, like a donut. It couldn't actually explain where those prices came from. Then in the 1870s, 3 men solved it, all at the same time, in 3 different countries without ever talking to each other. I'm Econ Teach NZ. Let's meet the idea that quietly rebuilt all of economics. Smith's dead end. I don't know why the camera's doing that. Okay. Let's see. To see why this is so hard, let's have a look at how Smith and the classical economists thought about value. Okay. So let's have a look. They believed value came mostly from the cost of production, especially labor. The more work went into something, the more therefore it was worth. It's an intuitive idea. It is also the same basic engine that Karl Marx used that we discussed in the previous video. But the paradox smashes this. Water is essential and cheap. Diamonds are useless and dear. And how much labor went in doesn't rescue you either. Plenty of back-breaking effort produces things that nobody wants to buy. Don't know why my phone's drying. Have you ever seen, come on, ever seen a beautiful handmade product that just doesn't sell? I'm going to try and turn off this thing. All right? Effort doesn't always mean that there is value. Value clearly wasn't about usefulness. Something is missing, and that something turned out to be one tiny magical word, the word marginal. All right, so let's consider this out of Europe. Okay, maybe a glass filling a drop at a time. You've got Jevons, Menger, Walras, the 3 major economists in 1871, William Stanley Jevons in England, Karl Menger, I'm going to pronounce it that way, in Austria, and Leon Walras, I'm going to pronounce it that way, in Switzerland, independently landed on the same breakthrough. There was no group chat, no shared drafts, the same idea. 3 corners of Europe. Historians literally call it a marginal revolution. What's the insight? The insight here is that we never actually choose between all the water in the world and all the diamonds in the world. We make the decisions at what is called the margin, one more unit at a time. So the real question isn't how useful is water in general, it is how much is one more glass of water worth to you right now. And that will depend on how much you already have. Yeah? Probably fairly common in your thought processes there. Trying to fix the camera slightly, still there. Still going a bit squiff. If you're drowning in water, There are taps everywhere, rivers, rain. One more glass of water is worth almost nothing. That's why water is cheap. Diamonds are rare, so any single diamond is a big deal. Price isn't about the total usefulness, it's about the value of that next unit, the marginal unit. This is the idea of diminishing marginal utility, and you feel it constantly. The first slice of pizza when you're starving. Getting a bit peckish now. All right? It is elite, maybe life-changing. The 5th slice? What about the 8th? Maybe actively a mistake. The same pizza, the value dropped with every slice because value lives at that margin. And watch how fast it flips with context. If you're stuck in a desert, you're dying of thirst, suddenly you'd trade a fistful of diamonds for one bottle of water. Because, well, now the marginal glass is actually the difference between living and dying. Value isn't a fixed property of a thing. It's about its scarcity, the circumstance, and the next unit. So, looking at the exam angle. This one is basically pure exam gold because your marginal revolution is where the demand curve actually comes from. When we learn that, that's really significant. Why does the demand curve slope downwards? Because diminishing marginal utility. Each extra unit is worth less to you, so you'll only buy more if the price of it drops. That's not a random squiggle that your teacher draws. It is a direct consequence of this 1870s idea. Both IB and IGCSE build consumer theory on it, and IBHL takes it quite a bit further into the idea of utility maximizing and utility analysis. The deeper skill the examiners test is thinking at the margin. Should a firm produce one more unit? Comparing marginal costs and marginal revenues, not the totals. Should you study for one more hour? Or does the marginal benefit versus the marginal cost? Nearly every optimization decision in your entire course is a marginal decision in disguise. Spot that, and whole chapters collapse into one idea. So, here's the shift. Smith and Marx asked, well, both of them asked, where does value come from? And they looked at it, the cost side, labour, production, effort. The marginalists flipped it. Value isn't poured in from behind, it's pulled from in front by how much we want that next unit. A few decades later, Alfred Marshall will tie both of those two sides together, asking whether value comes from supply or demand. He said it's like asking which blade of a pair of scissors does the cutting, with the answer being both blades. Supply and demand, the diagram that you're going to draw 1,000 times, is the peace treaty between these two ways of seeing value. And for a while, it looked like economists were basically, economics was basically solved. There were elegant models, there were rational consumers, there were markets clearing. Then the 1930s happened, and a third of the workforce lost their jobs. And all the elegant models had absolutely nothing useful to say. I'm Econ Teach NZ. Now, I'd like you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are getting very close to 18,500 subscribers. But what about you? Comment below. Where have you felt diminishing marginal utility? Do you agree with the flow that we've talked about? Do you see it as being as big a revolution as it has appeared? All right, ladies and gentlemen, hey, Kornera, have a fantastic day. We'll see you on the next one.